I'm Chancellor Agard here at Entertainment Weekly's Comic-Con studio with Cameron Cuffe from Krypton and EP Cameron Welsh. How are you guys doing today?
Right. Really well, thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you for coming. I guess just to jump right in, I mean, Krypton Season 1 ended with Seg being tossed into the Phantom Zone with Brainiac, and we also had the Zods effectively taking over Krypton. I mean, where does Season 2 pick up after that?
We pick up, we do a bit of a time jump, so we jump ahead about 4 or 5 months after the end of the first season, and the Krypton that we come back to is radically different from the one that we left in Season 1.
How so?
It's had a chance to. It's now the Krypton under Zod's rule. The old regime is out, so this is Krypton under Zod, and Zod is a character who he's been to the future. He has knowledge of the future, and he's able to bring that back with him to Krypton. So, in shaping this new vision of Krypton, he has an insight like nobody else before him.
Mm-hmm. And in Season 1, there's definitely this sense that you were. I mean, the fact that Krypton gets destroyed eventually, and you have Superman, that's something that's sort of weighing on the story. But now you've sort of taken the story in this completely new direction with the Zods taking over. I guess, do you guys feel freer in a way with Season 2?
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that was one of the things that we were, happiest with about Season 1. I think when we set out to do the show, there was this, I think, an expectation that there was a kind of a cloud of inevitability over the show, and that it would end with the destruction of Krypton. And I think as people saw, through Season 1, we went away from that expectation and delivered something completely different. And it's very liberating now. So we feel like that we've cast those shackles off, and we can go anywhere we want now.
I'm curious, I mean, in Season 1, did you guys learn any lessons doing that season that you have that you've been able to apply to this new season?
Absolutely, yeah, I think so, definitely. I think we discovered a lot of things, and I think that's probably part of it, in a first season. I think we felt we understand what the dynamics, I think we found the sweet spot for the show in terms of, getting the balance right in character, emotion, humor, action, all of those kinds of things, and I think that we're taking those lessons and applying them in Season 2.
And Cameron, for you, I mean, what was it like in Season 1 to sort of go on this journey that ultimately ended with Seg in the Phantom Zone?
I mean, it was an amazing story. It was such a bold take on the mythos of Superman, and I was really excited about it as a fan. And the awesome thing about Seg is that he's been on this hero's journey, and the interesting thing about Season 2 as well is that in Season 1, a lot of the story happens to him. The role of the hero is thrust upon him. Adam Strange shows up and says, it's up to you. The universe needs you to be a hero. It's not going to play out that way in Season 2. He has a choice to step back in the ring, and there are consequences to that. And every character in a way that the way Season 1 has left off, their world is massively in flux. So everyone has a different idea about what they want this new Krypton to be.
And I'm guessing it's fair to assume that Seg will make it out of the Phantom Zone at some point in Season 2, right?
I like my job, so please.
Yeah, I think that's fair to assume. Okay. Yeah. But I don't think it'll be. I don't think that will go the way people will expect it to either. And I think that's probably in keeping with what one of the discoveries we made in Season 1. Back to your earlier question about what we learned. I think whenever we took made a decision and took a path that was probably the least expected path, it led to good results and a good response. So we're emboldened by that, and we're choosing to go that way again in this season.
And this show very much is about consequence as well. With a lot of superhero stories, all the toys get put back in the box so you can start again, and that's not the show we're making. So there's a cost to Seg's experience in the Phantom Zone for sure.
Well, I was going to ask you that. I mean, do you have an idea of how that experience sort of affects Seg, I guess, and changes him? Because I know the time works differently on Earth. 2 minutes can feel like many years in the Phantom Zone.
Yeah, I mean, of course, the Phantom Zone is a place beyond space and time where those things have no meaning. We say in the show, it's a fate worse than death. So to be there and to be there with the person he's in there with is going to be very challenging for Seg, and it's going to change him as a person, absolutely.
Yeah, and just to add to that, I think in Season 1 we saw that in our show anyway, only 2 people have gone into the Phantom Zone and returned. One of those was Val-El, who designed that technology, and then the second was General Zod, and they're both formidable characters, and it took everything they had to survive that experience. And I think Seg goes into it without that level of experience that either of those guys had. So I think we can expect that it'll take a toll on Seg in a different way than it did with the others.
And so also, I mean, because like he's in there with Brainiac as well. I mean, can we expect some sort of team up or something? Because obviously, I think one of the takeaways from the finale was that Brainiac eventually makes it out because he has Detroit bottled up. So
I'm glad you picked up on that, because I think that confused a few people, but I'm glad you got that.
So I guess, I mean, what will that relationship be like inside the Phantom Zone, I guess, or do they have to depend on each other now, or are they both sort of going their separate ways to find their own way out of this Phantom Zone, I guess?
Well, I think Seg, and I think Cameron will speak to this. He was when we first met him, he was a very street smart kind of a hustler. So I think he'll probably know better than to trust Brainiac and try and depend on him. And Brainiac is like a 12th level intellect. So I don't think so. If there's any kind of alliance or anything like that that's formed between them, I would say that it would be tenuous at best. But I think it's an interesting dynamic. I think putting those two together and putting them into a place like the Phantom Zone, it'll be interesting to see what comes.
And also with we're in a show that doesn't really have those pure hero and villain archetypes, so I'm sure that we're going to see maybe a different part of Brainiac that we haven't seen before.
I mean, like in the comics, he's obviously changed too. Because we have Brainiac 5, the Legion, so that's always a possibility. And on that same subject, I'm curious. I mean, what familiar faces will we see in this new season? I guess DC Comics faces, because we had Brainiac, Adam Strange, Zod, Doomsday in season 1. I guess who are you bringing from the pages this season?
Well, I think in season 1 we only really got a glimpse of Doomsday, and in season 2 we'll be seeing a lot more of Doomsday, and we'll see Doomsday unleashed, and we'll get to see him in all his destructive glory. And I think the same can kind of be said of Brainiac. He haunted our characters for a lot of the season, and there was this kind of sense of impending doom. He was on his way, and then he eventually arrived, but it took a while. So I feel like we owe it to our audience and to that character to go deeper with Brainiac and explore more of Brainiac, peel back a few layers. As Cam said, that we don't deal in straight heroes and villains, so I think it'll be interesting for us to get inside Brainiac a little bit more. So I think in answer, we've got a lot on our plate already to sort of unpack with those characters, but that said, I think we can expect to see a few more arrive.
Great. Thank you both for stopping by. I'm looking forward to seeing season 2, and I hope you guys have a great weekend. For more coverage, visit EW.com.